Hail our white man! During my recent travels, I had the extraordinary opportunity to share a car with 3 young German men, 2 millennials and 1 Gen Z, myself being a female Gen X. After 2 minutes, it became clear that the consensus in the car was what Americans would call liberal and completely aligned with the mainstream geopolitical and historical narratives, also supported by the German parties, narratives that made sure that there was nothing left for a German man to be proud of. After a while, listening to right-wing extremist bashing, I heard myself saying, "This conversation sounds as if you're still watching television," which harvested a puzzled 5 seconds of silence. Then the discussion went wild, going from mass migration to German special responsibility, white demography, the killing of whites in Haiti, Zimbabwe, and South Africa, colonialism, American pioneers, and eventually to the eternal German guilt cult that by now has been successfully exported to most white countries. I was just surprised by the zeal of 2 of these 3 young men, the third one became more and more silent, to constantly defend the outgroups, the migrants in Europe, the Indians in America, the blacks in South Africa, and the Jews all over the world. When I said that culture is inseparable from genetics, thus race, and that this phenomenon could be easily observed all over the planet, and that our European heritage was an expression of the unique creativity and productivity of whites, meaning 99.9% white men, they started to defend the position of the outgroup women, which was my group. Like white women would have been able to create the same if given the chance, such as Marie Curie. But most of them were just locked up at home to become breeding machines for the patriarchy, etc., etc. You get the picture. I was baffled. You know, when in Germany someone dares to pronounce the word race, people instantly hear Hitler, Herrenrasse, master race, and very, very evil. The programming is deep and complete within the before-internet generations, but I was not aware that the younger age groups, who had the possibility of checking their sources using the internet, were also indoctrinated on such a level. Long story short, I found myself defending their group, the group of German men, white men, their extraordinary creations, discoveries and inventions in the fields of architecture, infrastructure, medicine, chemistry, physics, mechanics, electronics, their castles, paintings, sculptures, symphonies, literature, and that the prototype of most of the things we use on a daily basis had been invented at some time by some white man, and last but not least, that they had created a safe environment for women and children, and that I was grateful for having been brought up in one of these functioning, prosperous societies built by white men who had been defending their territory against non-white invasion for centuries, before taking my last breath of enthusiasm and finishing my schwärmerei with, "What have they done to you? You don't even know anymore who you are." Silence for the last 10 minutes of the journey. Could it be that our men are incapable of seeing themselves properly? Maybe they need us women to tell them who they are? Maybe the institutionalized self-hate imposed by our media, education system and politics has completely disconnected them from any healthy feeling of self-love? Maybe self-love is the premise to be able to defend yourself and your group, your country, your folk. Maybe this is all about psychological warfare and preparing us mentally to embrace and support our own genocide. If this is the case, we white women urgently need to help heal our men's psyche by telling them how extraordinary they are and have been as a race, and by offering them the admiration they deserve. If we women are the only mirrors white men can reflect themselves in realistically, we should break, in our own interest, the cultural Marxist gender-dividing spell and start shouting into this world, "Hail our white man!"